ownership is the best way to build wealth, and buying a business is the fastest way to get there. So we're working on an interesting project with a client. This business is listed a really low multiple, about 1.25 times cash flow. And the reason it's listed for such a low valuation are, one, this owner's only owned it for about a year, but they are ill and need to sell quickly, and the financials are a mess. But luckily we were able to piece together some pretty good numbers using about 3 different sources. We had some readouts from their payment systems, we had some tax statements, we had some itemized expenses, but it really took a long time and a lot of effort to piece it together. But we feel like we've got a good handle on the cash this business can generate. But so as we get these numbers dialed in, we do notice that there's something just off about it. The profitability for the prior years was about 25% profit margin, and it jumped up to 38%. So, and we just couldn't figure out why. There wasn't a clear trend. It just didn't make sense exactly how they were able to increase the profitability that much. So we call the seller and ask, hey, what are you doing so great that's driving the margins so much higher? And the answer that we get is, I'm just really good at business. I know how to do things better than the previous owners. I can get more out of less. So I said, well, can you give us some examples of how you save money? And the answer that we were given is, when you pay people, they don't receive all of the money you pay them. A lot of it doesn't make it to their paycheck. So if you pay someone under the table in cash, you can cut out a lot of expenses. And as some of you may already know, that's called tax evasion. And according to the IRS, the incarceration rate is about 75%, with an average prison term of 14 months to 2 years. And in this case, it's really easy for the IRS to track down, because she's subtracting the expenses from her taxes, so she's deducting the employee wages, but not issuing any 1099s or W-2s. So there's a good chance of getting caught. Now, this isn't necessarily a deal killer. We just have to make adjustments. From a legal standpoint, you need to work with your attorney to make sure that you're insulated from the liabilities of the previous owner. We won't cover that here since I'm not an attorney, but if you do run into something like that, you immediately want to call your attorney and have a discussion with them. But from a deal side, anything that you find like that, it's an adjustment you need to make. So what our client and I discussed a resolution is, essentially we would have to gross up the pay of each of the employees. So we want to make sure that our key employees are taking home the same amount of money, but that all the taxes are being paid. So essentially, you just have to take what they're currently getting paid, divide that by 1 minus the tax rate. That gives you what the new employee expense. Make sure you're adding Social Security and all those other taxes in that tax rate. And you just have to add that as a new expense. So then that lowers the cash flow of the business, which then, because the cash flow is less and you're buying the business at a multiple of the cash flow, then the deal price needs to come down. Now, lowering the price is a difficult discussion. It's definitely something you want to actually talk to the seller about, something you want to deliver delicately. It's not your job to judge them. It's not your job to prosecute them. It's not your job to threaten to turn them in. It's your job to try to get a deal done. So be delicate in your delivery. Remember, no matter how poorly a business might be run, it's still their baby. They still are probably really proud of it. And you just don't want to insult them, because then that'll just cause them to walk away and sell the business to somebody else. And always make sure you give them an opportunity to reconcile the differences. So even before you start negotiating the price down, say, hey, as I went through, here's what I found. You said the cash flow was X. I see that it's Y. Can you explain to me what I'm missing? And most of the time, there isn't a really good answer, but always give them a chance. There's always a chance that you're wrong, I'm wrong, they're right. So when you find discrepancies, ask open-ended questions to allow them to possibly correct anything that you might have gotten wrong. And of course, like we said, if you can't reconcile, you gotta lower the price. So let us know if we can help you through the process of buying a business. Leave any topics you want to cover or questions in the comments, and follow us for more.